So he just wanted to do. He just wanted to get into the mix. Like, what made him want to get into the mixtapes? Like, who? Like, he just wanted.
He was just always into music. Like, he's not a fan of it. You know what I mean? I'm not. You know, it's a good question. I gotta ask him. Maybe I can drag him here and y'all get him for 8 minutes.
But I want to ask you a question. I know you don't like touch. Man, Skane, man, why you do me like this, Skane?
Just think about the shoes, man. Just watch the shoes before you ask the
No.
question.
See, they got the air bubbles.
Hey, can you answer this question though?
Yeah.
You know, Clue and Cutmaster C had issues back in the day.
Yes.
Can you tell me where that stemmed from? I don't know where it's. I know. I don't want to get.
And I don't even mind speaking on that.
Okay, thank you.
So it really stemmed from nothing. Jealousy. That really stems from nothing.
What do you remember about that situation? But I'm not talking about the crazy shit. I'm talking about what do you remember as far as how it snowballed effect into.
So we do, and it's a maturity thing, and then I gotta be careful with my words because it's a us thing. How we choose to deal with things that aren't good. So Cut was coming up, and Clue was the man, and that was just it. And I think there was some, just like like sports, like like. When that nigga is, you mean like if you're LeBron and then there's KD, there's a respect level, but it's like, yo, I'm that man. No, I'm that man. Like, I'm that nigga and I'm that, you know what I mean? So I personally think that was that. And then it got crazy.
It did. It did get crazy.
It got crazy.
Yeah, it got crazy. Did it have to get that crazy?
No.
Why didn't, being who was that, being the connection that was around, why nobody couldn't get those two to talk, or because I know, first of all, let me say, Clue was a stubborn guy from what I know. Watch it, Clue.
Yes.
I done seen, and shout out to Clue. I love Clue. I done seen people threaten Clue, try to attack him by Hot 97 hearing the stories, and he would not change the way he think. You cannot force Clue to do anything.
No.
This is who I was telling that one time, Saigon. When we was telling Saigon, he's like, yo, Clue, I know that. Even I remember Nore was mad about being on a certain number on the. Remember that situation?
Yes. See, and we're jumping too. Fuck, yo.
I don't want to jump.
Not jump because then there's a whole. No, I'm just saying there's a whole nother. Like we was fucking Clue and I were even. I can't even remember what year. I'm saying I think it was Onyx, but we was even fucking with Tragedy.
Gaddafi?
Yes. And see what I'm saying. It's not that I'm jumping on. I'm just, when you said Nore, it made me think. So we was fucking with Tragedy. I'm trying to think. When did Mobb Deep come out?
I don't know. Does anybody know?
I gotta ask my man Derek that I work with. This dude to tell you, he probably knows more about my history than I do. he knows everything. He's really good with that shit. The guy we work with at RCA.
I think Mobb Deep
early 90s.
91.
Okay,
yeah.
So, and Tragedy was when?
I don't know.
Before Mobb Deep, obviously.
Because
right?
we interviewed
Well,
Tragedy.
around that time.
Yeah.
So we were fucking with Tragedy at that time, Clue and I, and then he was like, he was even like, yo, I like you, young kid, like, y'all should manage me. Like, you know what I mean? I want you to manage me. And I'm like, man, I don't know fucking shit. Like, you know what I mean? Fuck. But, again, like, I was a fan of Tragedy because, like I said, I was always attracted to the lyricists.
Yes.
So it's just, you know what I mean? You figure, like, the first few rappers that I was able to sign were lyricists. You know what I mean? I've always been attracted to that shit. But we were fucking with Tragedy. And then, I don't know how we met. I mean, obviously through Clue, but Mobb Deep, we started fucking with them. I remember they came and did some shit in Clue's mother's basement, did some freestyles. I got them all over the place, but yeah, I'm thinking like.
Why weren't you guys? The question I asked: why weren't you guys able to get Cut and Clue together?
Yo,
did Clue feel like he didn't have to talk to him because he's just, shout out to Clue, but he's a stubborn guy.
He's extremely stubborn. Like, and he knows that. And listen, I said it. This won't be the first time I say this on camera. So if you go back and look at the Hard Knock Life tour, the doc we did for that, like I'm on camera saying like Jesus can tell Clue something and Clue's gonna move and he's gonna be on his own time because that's just, and it's not because he felt like he was better than that. It's just how he's just always been that way. So I don't know. I don't even know if it even got there, but I think if it could have happened, and then the weird shit is because Cut and Webb were cool.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know what had happened, but it got bad. You know that some goofy shit happened. So once that happens,
That's it.
right, and things were exchanged, and then and then that was that.
We know,
Yeah.
Did it have to? I mean, Skane, you're good at. You got tap. I see why you got the good dance shoes on. You're good at dancing, Skane.
No, I don't dance though. I don't dance.
In a good way. You try to be. We gotta be careful with our words.
Correct. That's all.
We have to be because there's a lot of powers that's involved in this. So I get it. But I always wanted as a kid because of the person that I was close to that received, probably the bad side of a situation or the good side, when I'm referring to. So, but I never understood that why it had to go that far.
It's a good question, man. But like, just there was a whole bunch of unfortunate situations like that.
Exactly. You can't laugh.
So why did it have to go that? Like, I honestly don't know.
Over what? But mixtapes?
Yes.
Egos involved.
Egos
involved.
Mixtapes.
People,
Like Clue and Envy live across the street from each other. Directly across the street from each other. Envy, probably has, as far as being on radio, his career probably trumps Clue's, right? As far as, the morning show and all that, Clue's been on it. But like Envy's super successful. And at one point there was like a little weird, like, like I said, like LeBron and KD thing, like, I'm that guy, but Envy was like coming up and he was strong, but Envy was the homie, so but you could sense that, so if someone that's around but you're not really cool with, then it can obviously it'll go where it went. And you know what I mean?
Did they ever, last question about that, did they ever speak? Did they ever speak to each other?
So I'll be lying if I could tell you. I don't know. I spoke to Cut. He was with one of the homies.
Yeah.
Maybe a month ago. Mm-hmm. I was on FaceTime with one of the homies, and he was at the crib, and I'm like, oh shit, the fuck.
Is he still?
So you remember he was jammed up.
Yes.
He was locked up for whatever, and so he's home now.
I know. I spoke to him at the end.
Yeah. So he's fine, thankfully, But like, I was the first time I spoke to him. How long Cut did?
I don't know how long he did, but I know he was in there for a while.
He was in there for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm dead ass, maybe 15, 20 years.
Jeez.
So, I mean, I would have to ask questions maybe to be a
of course,
part two, because maybe their words like, yo, this shit gotta stop. So, because like everybody's alive, so maybe something was said, but I can't remember. You know what
Understood.
I mean? I honestly, I don't know. I just know like eventually, everybody just went their own separate way. No one, I guess we didn't run into each other again from the one time.
So Human Clue mixtapes. He had BBO. He had all the different people because they said that the Clue mixtapes was hitting back then. It was ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, and not because I was a part of it, but it was like, when you that nigga, he was that nigga. We were those guys.
Slow down, Skane. You're getting a little too cocky for me. Come on, relax. I got to get at you too. Don't do that.
No.
I love you, man, but slow down. That was a little cocky. That was a
How's
lot
that cocky?
You can't say you were those guys. A lot of people that was those guys back then, Skane.
Far on a mixtape level?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Don't cut that out. Think nothing. Clue, at that time, Clue was it. Everybody know. It's not being cocky. He was that guy. At that time, he was the best-selling mixtape DJ.
He was.
Period.
Who else was out at that time though?
There was a lot of guys coming. Like, there's folks that were SNS was on fire. Folks we learned from.
Shout out to SNS.
Yes, a guy we actually learned a lot from, Big June.
Shout out to Big June.
Who actually like showed us how to move around and making connections and shit. SNS was on fucking fire. Who Clue had a good relationship with because I think Clue respected him, and it was like we were all fans of that shit. I was like still to this day, like I'm a big fan of SNS. Like his son raps too.
Yes, shout out to his son.
Son can actually rap.
Yes. Shout out to them.
But I was a big fan of S.
When did
Doo-Wop?
Doo-Wop, facts.
Yeah, okay.
Bounce Squad.
Yeah, all right.
They were fucking on fire. I mean, we were super young though, so we weren't.
Ron
we
G
were in
too,
school,
right?
Huh?
Ron G.
Ron motherfucking G. Now he was the man. Now he was the man. Ron G. Clue's predecessor was Ron G. Ron G was the fucking man. So I would say out of all of those 3-4 guys that I just named, Grandmaster Vic, well, he's like more so like a hood though. So, but we grew up
Shout out to Grandmaster
paying.
Vic,
He was like, Clue was a fucking big fan of his. So was I. But Ron G, I would say, Clue started coming around when Ron G started like dissipating. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like when he, I guess, stopped just really like being so prevalent. But yeah, it was Ron G was the man. Ron G was the fucking man.
When did guys like Big Mike and Who Kid come into play?
Later on,
right?
I would say way later on. They came around. I would say Big Mike was a little bit before Who Kid, right? If I'm correct.
I think so,
history. I think Mike, and I think then Who Kid came and Who Kid was on fire.
The mixtapes were selling like in the stores and
Correct.
how you guys had it. Like it was hand in hand promotion.
Correct, literally.
Yeah. So you guys were, I remember going there and watching, going on the Ave and seeing you guys give us CDs. So how would it work? Would you go back Coliseum Block?
Yeah.
You'll go back and get your money later? How does that work?
Shit, sometimes, like I said, it got to a point where like, just wait, these shits will be gone, or like when they knew it was good, so it was like I can pay y'all up front now for these, or you need to do the consignment thing. Like it depended on which vendor that we was dealing with.
So was your managing skills or managing position? Did you end up managing Clue?
Yes.
That's how you got into it.
Yeah.
And then by managing Clue, what happened? Like what was because I'm trying to figure out the steps. Like met each other on the bus. We be cool. Footlock, he gave me a hookup. He doing the mixtapes. We have Cam. A lot of people came in the basement. A lot of people rapped and all that. Mixtapes was selling. What was the next step? The radio that he went to?
So the next step, I think the eye opener. So what really for me, and I remember like the conversation. So, and I don't know exactly what year this was. This is obviously 90s. But Mike, y'all remember Mike Geronimo? Y'all know who Irv Gotti is. Obviously.
Yeah.
Irv had got a deal at Def Jam. And I'm like, man, we need to fucking try to get a deal. Like all these folks that were a part of your tape are getting deals, and we need to find our own artists and fucking try to get a deal ourselves. So it was really when I saw Irv get a deal, it like sparked me. I'm like, shit, we can fucking do this shit. Why not? Like, let's go for it. I was like, Irv was on fire. And we was like, yeah, fuck this shit. Like, and he had got, he started out with Mike Geronimo, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then, he just went, and then, he went on that fucking tremendous run. But yeah, like, that's what it was for me. And we literally sat in Clue's, it was Clue and I think Dora might have been in the studio at that time. And at that time, Dora was still interning. Like, Dora learned on the fly. Like, he didn't go to school. Dora dropped out of high school. He never finished. And he actually, basically, he was self-taught. Like, he started out interning, I believe, at Platinum Sound. Mm-hmm. And just by watching, he taught himself how to engineer, which is pretty dope. So, but we were sitting in Clue, long story short, we were sitting in Clue's mother's kitchen, and we were like, well, let's just think of a name. And he was like, I don't know. I'm like, how you say Queens was the desert? So he was like, the War Desert Storm was coming. All right, well, we're Desert Storm. All right, next. And then it just stuck from there. But that's literally how it happened.
Really?
The dead ass.
Desert Storm.
Dead ass.
And Clue's mother's kitchen.
Yeah.
So y'all come up with that storm. But were y'all cool with Irv like that, or y'all just knew?
Yeah. So Irv, so Irv was like popping in Queens at that time.
He
like
was
the DJ. The local guy, but he was popping, and Mike Geronimo. So we, it was like a big homie type of situation. You know what I mean? Like I was the what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like just I was around certain shit, so I didn't know him. Like how obviously now it's a different situation, but he knew it was the little what's up, like, you know what I mean? Probably he might not even remembered me back then, but like we'd always see him and I'd be around him. Like there was a barbershop after I stopped going to the barbershop on Ave. There's a barbershop in my neighborhood, right on Farmers, and what the fuck is his name?
Not tell us.
Nah, not tell you. I'm going way back. Homeboy used to own this shit. I don't want to talk his business. I think you know what I'm talking about, but he used to own it, and they used to all they had someone in common. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So that's how. So he used to come by there, and they was cutting my hair at the time because those dudes were from the barbers was from his side of town, Irv's, a couple of them. So he'd come by, I guess, get his haircut, just fuck with them. He'd be in there, and I was like, oh, that's the Irv Gotti kid, Irv, DJ Irv. And then the guy, I think actually he wasn't even Irv Gotti. I think he was Irv. But I was like, that's the DJ Irv kid. So that's I was like, oh, he's coming to bar. You know, I was a real little young guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's up? What's up? That, you know that type shit.
Yeah.
So it was like that. So like, then he just started like taking off. So you know, it was me watching and seeing other people like just have success. I'm like, you know, we gotta go for ours. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. I mean, you guys are basically breaking the artists through the mixtapes anyway. So
yeah.
why not get the, you know?
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, we like, fuck it, like, try, like, you know, we all, myself, Clue Door, we all literally learned on the fly. There was no schooling, there was no way to, you know what I mean? Like, no one told us how to act, no one like read this book or this is how you got to do it. I literally, and for me, it worked out better that way. Like, I think like even like with musicians now, like I remember L.A. Reid said some shit to me, like he and it always resonated. Like there was an artist that we had signed, Shakir Stewart had signed. And, you know, L.A. didn't really want to do it, but she was a classically trained artist. And L.A. was like, hell no. And I know you don't like me jumping, but I'm jumping. But because my mind, it's my way my mind works. But he was like, I don't want to do this shit. And he was like, yo, but she can play every instrument. She could play the fucking piano backwards. And L.A.'s like, and that's exactly why, because she was trained.
But you guys learned on the fly.
We learned on the fly. So folks that learn on the fly, you know what I mean? And that's what it was for us. We just learned on the fly. You know, just do the, you know, I'm still doing this shit, thankfully. Still in the game, thankfully, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, of course you are.
Literally, I'm learning, still learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy flip. You're trying to figure out a way to start.
No, I'm not trying to, because I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, Skane. You know, because one thing about it, a lot of things, I'm watching you, I can see when things come back in your memory, because the timeline, and you're like, oh, I see
my
it.
timeline is fucked up, but that's, like I said, I would have totally, and that was, for me, it was like a big deal. Like the whole, you mentioned, whoever it was, it made me think of tragedy.
Yeah.
So and I would have honestly not thought about that if you didn't say it.
No, I was saying Nore because
Nore, right?
But let me ask you a question. I don't know if you want to talk about this as well. But do you remember Nore and Clue situation?
Yeah, I was there.
I know you was there.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah. So they, you know, I was over, and you said I don't know exactly what it was, but it was somewhere Clue. Actually, correct. It was somewhere where Clue placed them on the tape. Now
in the 20s,
it was right. So and then obviously there was a relationship there. So they no, I'm not trying to think how to work. I'm trying to remember everything. No, for that ass. They so for whatever, long story short, and then here's the wild shit. Like I was actually A&R'ing Nore's project at the time. Yes. When all this shit happened. So long story short, I think Nore and I spoke about it. Obviously. You know, he was upset, like, yo, why would Clue do me? But like I like just like how now, like on the DSPs, we fight for placement. Mm-hmm. Same shit back then. You want that placement on Clue's tape. Mm-hmm. But for Clue, I think it was the way. Actually, I don't even think it was down. I think he started off Nore on side B. Oh. So he didn't even make the. If I'm correct, I don't even think. Mm. So I think he started off on side B, but it was sonically the sound. Clue's a DJ. You know, it was like blending. So he's like, this will. With the other records that were on that particular tape, I think Clue felt like they fit. This is how they fit. You just don't, because it's such and such. So he's like, because it was Nore, I'm going to start him on side B. I think Nore was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? And that's so their relationship got a little bit fucking weird. Like, you know
what happened at Hot 97?
They had words. They had words.
Skane, come on, it's me.
I know.
I know.
They had words. Like they did. They had words. You know what I mean? Like it almost got physical. It did. It almost got physical.
I thought it got. So it didn't get physical.
No.
Oh, I always thought it did. I thought so. You sure it didn't get physical?
Yeah, I know. It almost got there. Like, you know, people grabbed.
That's what. Okay.
100%.
That's a form of physical.
Yeah, it's form. Yeah, but like meaning like you've gotten it on. We've gotten it on. Like, you got it on worse. Like,
of
the
course.
whole Cutmaster C thing. I was a part of that. Yeah. You don't. It didn't get bad, you know what I mean? But it should have never got to where it got. If it could have, you know what I mean? And then, you know, like, then they, then their relationship got sour for a second, and then obviously everybody's, Nore's the homie.
Did you understand Nore's like? Let's think about retrospect. The shout out to Nore, man, he's doing a great job.
He's
man.
doing an unbelievable
job. I look up.
Not to cut you off, but I love it. I love what Nore's doing. I fucking absolutely love what Joe Buttons is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I love where Envy has taken himself, like, you know what I mean, and able to evolve, because like what's that documentary that was out with, like Pivot, and Joe Buttons found another platform for himself. Nore found another platform for himself and is doing a great fucking job.
Absolutely.
Envy, like, I love shit like that. But let's get back to
that. In retrospect, because you was working the project, it just goes to show how we was thinking back in the days.
Bingo.
Because like now it's like you'll think like, yo Skane, what's up? And you gotta have to talk. You go and talk to.
Yeah, no, that happened. And I don't, like I said, I'd rather them tell that part.
Of course.
I was hot. First phone call I made was to Nitty. Like, yo, like, like, so we was like, I'm like, what the fuck? Because Nore, like, him and his crew, those were some fun ass niggas to be around. Like, I used to like love, because they used to, you pick up things from folks. And I still say shit today that I got from Nore. Like, and he probably doesn't even know. So you pick up things from niggas, and I just like being around them, and like I was learning. Like, yo, these, you know what I mean? They're a little bit older, but I was learning from them. And then, Nore was on fucking fire at the time. Like, you know what I mean? And it was like, and he just felt like, for him, it was like, yo, like Queens, nigga. Like, how you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I'm dead ass here because obviously, Brianna, sure, and DeVal, because they saw me, but like, she's like, they're from Queens. You have to do it. So it was that. So that's how Nore felt. Like, yo, you gotta give me that respect, homie. Like, why the fuck? You know what I mean? So then,
what was Clue mentality? Is it because he's stubborn? Or
he's stubborn. But I'm telling you,
did you think that he didn't look at it the way Nore might have looked at it?
He 1000% didn't look at it that way, because he was dead ass confused. It was a sonic thing for him. Literally, like, yo, this doesn't fit here. But I can't place Nore number 2 on the B-side, so he's gonna lead the B-side. That was Clue's mentality. Nore took it as, the fuck?
Why would you want me on the B-side?
Right. B-side, period. And so that was his, but Clue was dead ass like, what the fuck? Like, what? He didn't get what was so wrong about it. He was like, right over his head. I kind of understood where Nore's come out, but then I understand Clue as the DJ. Right. It's like blending a rock record with a fucking country western. So that's how he was looking at it. And he felt the sound of that particular record, and I know what it was, had to go number one because it was Nore, and 2, it wouldn't have blended properly with anything else. Right. So that's why he's like, I'm gonna start it with this.
Where does that leave you at though now? Because you A&R his project at the time. So how do you deal with both of the the DJ, the artist, and being between and A&R and
shit, man? I don't start me lying. No, meaning like I can't, because and then it might come to me as we fucking progress in this interview.
Yes, I'm looking at the time.
No, because someone's calling. So it might. I can't remember exactly, but I do like vividly. I remember the first, like, Nore and I spoke after, right? Like literally on site. Whatever. Then I know I called Nitty like, yo, what the fuck? And then it was like, and I can't. I'm telling you, and I will recall. Oh shit! I'm fucking up. My bad. I will recall.
Now you're getting comfortable.
Yeah, but I will recall. But motherfucking I don't know. His fucking album came out, so I got it done. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean. And he works hard. And that's, you see, I'm not saying to big him up. I'm just now my mind's thinking Nore, because that motherfucker would make like 3 records a night.
Yeah, he works extremely.
Yeah, he did, and he worked fast.
He works extremely hard.
I did that shit now, but yeah, we I don't, and I'm not trying to avoid it. Dead ass. I'll tell you, I skipped. I can't remember what it was, and I think it did take time, like a while, like more than a year, for them to get past that shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, because he came up to Hot 97, because back then people we waited outside. I remember being a kid with Stack and Bino and waiting outside. So that's what's the protocol. So I know when Clue came out, it's a story I always heard of how stubborn. They equated that with stubbornness, but you see, that's what happened when you get information secondhand.
Right.
Because how I got it was Clue was being stubborn, but how it is that no, it wasn't a stubborn thing.
No, it wasn't. Clue is stubborn. It's my brother. He is stubborn. He wasn't being. He is stubborn. No, it's just him.
Nobody can make him do anything.
Right. So this is and what people need to understand too. Like, how the fuck are you mad at him when he's consistent? It's not like he doesn't treat anyone different. He's not indifferent to anyone. And then if anything, like he was Clue was on fire. Also, he was that man. But like we were also students and fans of shit. Also, it was a point, and I'm jumping, but it was a point that I was around Jay-Z damn near every day of my fucking life, and he probably didn't even realize like I was such a fan of his, and probably even shaped the way I acted around him. But I was such in awe with him. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. You know what I mean? So we were like Clue was like a big fan of Capone and Noreaga. So like dead ass, like we all were like, yo, these are that guys. But in the flip side, they were probably because he was on absolute fire at that time. They might have been looking at him the same. So that's where the egos come in. So Nore's thinking he might have thought, and I don't know. We never. I don't think if we did, I can't remember. He might have thought like, oh, this dude thinks he's too good. So and then he, you know, his mentality at that time was probably like, I'm gonna deal with it the way I know best. Clue's like, I'm fucking just putting together my tape. Sonically this belongs here. I wouldn't put Nore 2 on the side because I'm gonna put him 1. Nore's been 1 on his tapes before. Nore's had, you know, better placement. It's funny because this is how the same shit is with the DSPs now. Like we fight for that placement. You want to be number 1 on you want rap caviar. Everybody wants rap caviar. You know what I mean? So it was like that was like the rap caviar back at that time.
Who in that situation? Who did you decide you leaned across more in retrospect? Who was like? Who or are you in the middle? I can see both sides.
Well, no, I wasn't. I was more. I was upset with Nore because he knew my relationship with Clue. So it was like, yo, like, where's the, you know what I mean? Like,
We didn't have to go there.
right. So it was like, all right, let's say if it is fuck him. Nah, not me. Like, So it was like, yo, what the fuck? But like, and I'm dead ass, but I can't really recall like how things, whatever. But I know they spoke. I know I was a mediator in some way, fashion, or form. I just can't remember at this time how. But yeah, that was, and you know it's funny. I forgot about that shit.
I didn't.
Yeah, I forgot about that shit.
I did it. No. Yeah, I did it. Nore was running with those guys in the Bronx.
Yeah.
We supposed to interview those guys. Baby Bob and them. What's their name?
Yeah.
Bino keep telling me those guys.
What the fuck with their names? Yeah,
They're some serious guys. Some serious guys in the Bronx.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, but Murder Unit, I think.
Yes, there it is.
The Murder Unit. Yes. He was running with those guys back in the days, and I heard that they were,
MU.
serious guys. Yeah, MU. Yeah. So, listen, I just want to, but I just want to show you something in retrospect, and I'm happy about this. When you hear a story, I equated that with Clue being stubborn. I'm like, damn, how Clue gonna do it? In my mind, always, because I always hear.
Yeah.
That's why when I was talking to Saigon, shout out to Saigon, he was like, yo, Clue told me you ain't gonna force me to play it. And I had to tell Saigon, Clue, nobody gonna really force Clue to do anything. Never heard anybody forcing him. I mean, I remember people hearing and seeing people go up there to Hot 97 and try to approach him, and he still stuck to his guns.
Every time. You could have washed Clue up and down the floor, and it wouldn't have changed nothing.
Nothing does. You're right.
And I said again, he is stubborn, but it was nothing ever personal.
Got it.
So it was like for him, I get why Nore felt that way. And like I said, you got to remember at this time he's Nore. He's on fire. Clue's still on fire at that time too. So it's easy for someone to think like, yo, I'm doing this shit because I'm the man and I can do what the fuck I want. And that honestly wasn't the case.